Streamlabs is telling me that they're testing our broadcast. So
Ah, close.
probably live? Question mark live?
You said 3, 2, 1, and we're live. And then there was just
I know, like
silence. And I was
three
like,
times.
do I say anything? Do I wait?
I was like, did I just get disconnected?
Okay, it looks like we are actually live. At least YouTube says we are, and have been for 20 seconds. So, worst cold open ever. Hi everybody, we're live for real. Thank you guys for joining me. It's been a while. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started like we always do. And the answers to this question should be very interesting today. Does anybody remember what was happening last time?
No. But
We
speaking
were
of cold
sailing on a
opens,
boat.
I was just thinking that that could absolutely have been the cold open for Community, if you've seen that show.
I feel like I must have seen an episode somewhere, but
It's super meta, so they're like making the show in the show, so it totally could have fit. It would have been amazing.
nice. Okay, so Anna says we sailed on a boat. That is a thing that did happen last episode, so points for that, I suppose. Does anybody else have any input on what was happening previously? And we're probably going to need to do more than just the last episode, considering how long it's been.
So the last thing I remember, we were on the island,
Mm-hmm.
but now we're back on Horseshuga, so I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Well, there was that we got off of the boat, like we got on the boat and we were sailing, and then we found out that we needed to go to that one place that was like really hard to get to, but there was like a lot of gold, but then like we needed to go back and there was like to find more information, and we came back to Horseshuga because that's where the clues led.
It is very interesting hearing like your rendition of what you remember and how it's like maybe a quarter true and then just filled up with details that are completely wrong. But yeah, let's just do a quick overview of all the games. I mean, we're not going to go into too much detail, but kind of the plot-worthy points of all the games, just because it has been quite some time. So you
I
guys,
love it. Recap episode.
do you at least remember your characters and kind of what was going on with them, or do I need to go over that as well?
I'm Minty Chips and I'm a pirate.
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember your character, Rebecca?
I'm Cinnamon Star, and I'm like nerdy and political, and I run a bookshop and I speak weird languages.
Okay.
And then I also have my twin brother's character sheet, and he is Cinnamon Bubbles, and he's really bubbly, and he shoots big guns.
And the both of you are explorers and kind of dungeoneers who gather little knickknacks and oddities and books and scrolls and maps, and then those are what you sell from your shop back at Horseshuga. And you're well traveled. You're actually all the way from Pony Pan, which is Japan in the Pony World. And so you are a long ways from home right now. So let's just do Wayne next. Do you remember your character?
I have a character?
Ba ba ba. Is that my cue to tell you about your character because you've forgotten?
Oh, I'm despicable. Yes.
All right, Wayne, your character is Sugar Song, a very bubbly, joyous, energetic little pony. In fact, you are a young enough filly that you have not developed your cutie mark yet. You are the only one who is in that state. Speaking of which, we should say that Anna Minty Chips cutie mark is crossed swords. Cinnamon Star's cutie mark is helping hands inside of a heart. And Cinnamon Bubbles' cutie mark is a Rubik's Cube. Sugar Song actually was found as an orphan after a storm by the citizens of Horseshuga. Nobody is sure where she came from or who her parents might be. So she was kind of adopted by the entire community and raised by kind of communally, though take the portmaster of Horseshuga, one Master Meadows, has taken kind of primary custody of Sugar Song. Sugar Song has a pet monkey named Mr. Grabby who goes everywhere with her and likes to ride on her back. The monkey is often troublesome, and Sugar spends quite a bit of her time keeping him out of trouble or dealing with trouble he has already caused. And so that's kind of where you've been up to the start of the story was, being the energetic, slightly obnoxious child of the group. Minty Chips, just to give a little bit more background on you, beyond just that you're a pirate. Pirates in this world are more like, mercenaries than actual pirates. You don't go around raiding other ships. Instead, you go around kind of doing strong arm work for people who need help. And Minty Chips is an officer on board of another ship, which has a name. Salsa Verde. She was an officer upon the Salsa Verde and is extremely driven and wanted to become a captain of her own, which has finally, to some extent, seen fruition in the current events of the story. Minty Chips is determined and driven, completely and totally dependable for those who she feels has earned her trust, but is a dangerous enemy to any who are foolish enough to cross her. And finally, Jason, do you remember your character?
Yes, I'm Caramel Kisses. I'm a mage, and I'm adventurous. That's about it. That's what I remember.
That's pretty good. You're a magician. A wizard specifically would be your class. You're adventurous and quick-witted. And you always knew that once you were old and strong enough, you wanted to leave your small mountain village. And once you reached kind of that age, you did so without hesitation. So
Right. I'm not from here. I'm new
that's
to the
right.
gang.
Yes, you arrived on the Isle of Horseshuga, kind of day one of our adventures. One of your previous adventures, because you actually have been around somewhat already, you discovered in an old cave on the top of a mountain, frozen in a block of ice, a talking backpack who you named Bag. And at one point, Bag gave you a map written in a strange language that you were unable to read, though you were able to determine that it seems to have been an ancient pirate language, or pirate code, to be more correct. So that is what led you to Horseshuga, was you figured that's kind of the center of pirate life, and where better to find someone who might be able to translate your map for you. The map sings sea shanties anytime it's open and can only be stopped by closing it. And you were able to find Cinnamon Star, Rebecca's character, who has been helping you with translating the map. Caramel is able to get along with just about anyone and is very quick to get attached to others. She can be a bit clingy with those she especially likes and is easily hurt by unkindness or slights, though she tends to hide it. She is, however, very quick to forgive. And your cutie mark is a pair of hearts with an arrow through them. So that kind of gives us the background on the characters. As for the story, Caramel Kisses arrived at Horseshuga and quickly, through a series of mild misadventures, managed to join up with the rest of our pony crew. And they all decided that they were going to enter a raffle to get a place on the floats as part of the parade held as the Festival of Five. which is a festival held each year on Horseshuga to celebrate the pirate lords and how they saved the world from the main drain, which, well, I guess it wasn't for anything in particular. At that point, people hadn't told you what it was that they had saved people from, just that the pirate lords had saved people from something. You discover about the main drain later. So you guys enter the raffle, and by some sort of either cheating or fate or whatever it happened to be, all of you were drawn as the lucky winners. And so
And
you.
Bubbles looks entirely innocent because he filled out every single one of the forms.
Oh yes, he does continue to look perfectly innocent anytime that is brought up. And yeah, so you guys all went on the parade, and at the end of it, the final ceremony is to take a boat over to the Isle of Renewal, which is where the pirate lords were headquartered, and deposit a gem there. And you guys went on the boat and started out, but as you approached the island, the horizon became more and more troubled until at a certain point, an enormous wave came rushing towards you very unexpectedly, washing. What's her face? I'm already forgetting character names. Sugar Song overboard. The rest of you, one way or another, ended up also joining Sugar Song overboard. Most of you in an attempt to rescue Sugar Song. And a couple of you through a failed attempt to throw her a rope. And yeah, you guys all ended up in the ocean, being dragged toward the isle as the boats made their way quickly away from the storm and the waves that were rising up. You guys were nearly dashed on the rocks, the rocky cliffs of the isle, but through some miracle, you instead were pushed into a cave system underneath the island. Which you then explored and found many traps left by the previous inhabitants, and pieced together more or less what seems to have happened. The isle was in fact the home of the previous pirate lords, specifically Daisy Petals, Moonstone Glow, Winter Thorn, Bumblebee, and Golden Glade. It seems that they had a long and illustrious career as pirate lords, but at one point they decided that it was time to hang up their capes, so to speak, and head off on one last adventure, just as normal ponies. So they returned the Pieces of Five, which are ancient artifacts said to hold the power of friendship, to the place where they had found them, and then headed off into lands unknown, leaving behind a few guardians to take care of the place, one of which a mildly intelligent slime named Gerbers, and the other one a extremely sophisticated automaton named Snazzy Cogsworth. Unfortunately, Snazzy Cogsworth seems to have forgotten to fuel himself and went inactive. You guys, however, found him and refueled him, and though he has largely forgotten everything that he knew, he does have some information and helpful skills as he has joined you on your journey. Eventually, you found out that the pirate lords come around every 255 years, coinciding with a horrible tragedy where the main drain appears, an enormous whirlpool that begins to drain the entirety of the planet's oceans. And you guys will need the power of 5, the power of friendship, in order to defeat the main drain and set things aright. I guess defeat isn't necessarily quite the right word. In order to stop the main drain from draining the oceans and set things aright. And so the 255 years since the previous pirate lords has come around again, and you guys have become the new pirate lords. And you found out that the Pieces of 5, which are your current objective, are hidden on the isle of Canterlantis. However, this poses a problem, as Canterlantis, everybody knows, is just a myth. or at the very least, even if you believe in Canterlantis, it's under the ocean, completely inaccessible. And nobody knows where it is. However, as previously revealed, the map, which Caramel Kisses had brought to be translated, actually seems to be pointing the way to exactly that island, Canterlantis. Though you have not fully deciphered it to figure out how to get there, it does seem pretty obvious that's what it is at this point. The map seems to have been left by a pirate lord from several iterations back named Gold D. Roger, who is also notable for having left an ancient treasure known as the One Piece, which is the ultimate pirate treasure, which will give you not only the title of Pirate Lord, but if you can retrieve it, King of the Pirates. However, you would have to traverse the Grand Line and whatnot. So,
Is the
already,
One Piece a bikini?
I don't know how a one piece would be a bikini. It could be a
I
swimsuit.
guess not a bikini, but a one-piece swimsuit. Yeah.
You don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody's found it yet. Though the greatest pirates in all the land are always fighting to try and reach it. However, that is not something for today. For now, you guys need to retrieve the pieces of 5. So, having solved some more puzzles and avoided more traps and almost died a few times and collected a pet alligator and a pet mushroom and all the other crazy nonsense that you guys got up to in that island, you guys found the SSBFF, the old pirate lord's ship, and using its cola-powered wheels to take yourselves past the current tide pulling you toward the whirlpool that is quickly draining the oceans. You were able to return to Canterlantis. Or not Canterlantis, you're trying to get there, but to Horseshuga. And you guys returned there to find that Master Meadows and Myrtle? Does she have another name? I think it just might be Myrtle. Yep, just Myrtle.
Myrtle the Turtle Whisperer.
That's right, Myrtle the Turtle Whisperer. We're actually arguing about whether or not it was worth the risk of sending more ponies out into the maelstrom to try to find you. Master Meadows was in favor of simply having old Lumpy, the turtle on whose back Horseshuga rides, away as quickly as possible and leaving you to your fate, assuming that you had probably already died, which, if you had been stuck out in the ocean, would have been true. Myrtle, however, wanted to at least send some ponies to go look for you, but the point became null and void as you returned in and announced to everybody your displeasure in not having been rescued. And so then you guys made a request for provisions, made it clear that you needed to go on an adventure, and then headed over to the where you guys see yourselves now, the current living place. Has a name, I think. Maybe not. Anyway, another living place of the Pirate Lords, which, though in the intervening time, had become Myrtle's place of residence. And we're going to skip back a little ways. You had done some talking to her, but instead, we're going to resume just as you guys got to the building. So Myrtle said to head over there and that she needed to go talk to Lumpy for a bit and that she would join you shortly. And you guys all headed over there. Any more questions before we just get back into it? All right. So you guys arrive at the building. It seems to be a similar architectural style to the one that you found on the Isle of Renewal. So that does reinforce the possibility that it actually was a place that the Pirate Lords had lived. And after ringing a large, ostentatious door knocker, You are greeted at the door by a kind of odd-looking peppermint striped pony wearing a top hat. And he says, "Ah, good day. You must be the heroes. Uh, the new pirate lords that I've been hearing so much about. Please do come in and make yourself comfortable." As you enter, you can see that even though the building architecturally is very similar to what you saw on the island, it has been heavily redecorated. Um, Everything has an interesting kind of tribal flair to it. There are wooden masks and totems and various bubbling cauldrons in different places. And the whole place is actually has the feeling of almost being reclaimed by nature, but not in a way that anything seems to have been damaged. However, there are vines growing around on many of the walls, and the floors are all loosely packed earth. And crawling about on across most surfaces are these large beetles. They're about a foot long, and they have kind of double horns coming out of the front. And they seem to be busy across various tasks, carrying leaves and balls of dirt and dishes and books and scrolls and other things about, seemingly at random, though it does seem like things are getting done nonetheless. As you enter, the several beetles do converge on each of you. If you have any weather gear, coats, or that sort of thing, they're actually taken by the beetles and hung up by the door. Um, the peppermint striped pony says, "How may I help you, good ponies?"
Um, First of all, bug servants. Very
Ah,
cool.
yes, they are some of Myrtle's familiars. They're very helpful.
Is that magic controlling them?
Not precisely. It is more less control and more of a symbiosis. These beetles, as you can, I would imagine, tell, are not entirely natural. They are almost an extension of Myrtle, more spiritual than magical, I would say. Are you familiar with witch doctors, totemic sciences, that sort of thing?
Yes. I want to
Then,
learn one day.
indeed. In fact, I think you chose to have an item as your kind of foci instead of a pet, just to simplify things. You'd have to check your character sheet to see what that item is, though. Um, but yes, Myrtle hasn't taken any pupils for a very long time, but perhaps you could be persuaded. If not, there are, of course, others who could teach you. It's quite cold outside, and of course, with the storm brewing, it's gotten a bit wet and blustery. Could I invite you into the kitchen for some tea and biscuits, perhaps?
Yes,
Ooh, the
please.
kitchen.
All right, very well. Follow me this way. So he leads you back through a few hallways and then kind of into the interior. And there is a cozy kitchen. You can see there are three beetles standing on the edge of a very large bubbling pot, wearing tiny little bug-sized aprons, stirring quite vigorously at what appears to be a hearty stew. Um, and there's also a teapot, or a kettle, I should say, over the fireplace, which the peppermint striped pony grabs, and then after kind of clicking to several of the beetles, they scurry off and return after a few moments with sets of china. And he pours it out and he says, "What we have here today is a peppermint tea I also have a few others that are bagged up if you would prefer something else.
Oh, no, thank you. Peppermint's actually my favorite.
Oh, very good. Would anyone like sugar, cream?
Not for me,
No.
but Bubbles is like, me, all of it.
Very good. So he pours it out and puts a generous helping of sugar and cream into cinnamon bubbles tea. He then returns with a small crate of biscuits, which is biscuits in the British sense, so they are cookies, and two jams, one of which is red with multiple seeds in it, and the other one is yellow with little bits of rind. The red one seems pretty obviously either raspberry or strawberry. You would guess probably raspberry based off the size of the seeds, and then the other one you're not 100% sure what it is.
I like raspberry.
Very good. He sends that to your way with a spoon. If anyone does try the yellow one, it is actually a lemon marmalade.
I'm gonna try all of them.
I'm just going around between all of them, just nomming it like like a horse with its nose in a bag of fodder.
There you go. All right, so you guys settle into some tea as the warmth of the tea begins to soak into you. You're definitely feeling a little bit better, a little bit brighter, despite the cold gray of the day and the solemnity of the information that you have recently received. And after probably 15-20 minutes, you guys hear the door to the front hall where you entered open, and kind of looking that direction, you can see that Myrtle has entered. She's completely soaked head to toe, even more so than can be accounted for by the weather. And she has bits of kelp and other sea detritus still hanging to her mane. As she enters, though, she's immediately surrounded by a number of the beetles who begin picking her clean and quickly disappear afterwards. And she comes out of it completely ignoring their presence, but now cleaned up and largely dried. Speaking of which, as you've been sitting at the table, you'll occasionally feel, a little something brush up against your hoops. If you look down, it's actually the beetles picking you clean as well. So yeah, Myrtle enters the kitchen and sighs deeply. Well, that at least is taken care of for the time being. So let's reconvene and set exactly what's going on here. You guys have returned from the Isle of Renewal. It seems that you guys have been anointed, shall we say, as the new pirate lords. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information about the previous pirate lords. Much of it has been lost over the many years, and some of it has been, she looks at you all meaningfully, destroyed as well. But, like I said, let's figure out who knows what so that we can move forward and get you what you need. What do you know about the Pirate Lords and their purpose and what it is you need to do next?
They protect people from bad things.
Very true.
We're famous.
Well, your office is famous, your progenitors are famous, you guys are yet to become truly famous, though I have no doubt that that will come with time. You already seem to be settling into that position quite nicely.
Why, thank you. Nom 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 nom.
Very well. Well, to go from there, the pirate lords do indeed protect people, though specifically they have one overarching purpose. I don't know too much about it. I was close with the previous pirate lords at one point, but that was quite some time ago, and they were never fully forthcoming, and what few records are out there are none too clear either. It seems that every so often there's a great tragedy that befalls the world. I would imagine it has something to do with that enormous whirlpool and the weather out there. And that will be your first priority as pirate lords. Is going to be resolving that situation. Though I would imagine you will, assuming you survive, uh, continue to have many grand adventures past this one.
What do you know about Atlantis?
Atlantis?
Canterlantis.
Yeah,
Ah,
Canterlantis.
yes. And one thing to point out for the smart ponies among you, she mentioned actually knowing the previous pirate lords, which, if you remember, the pirate lords come around every 255 years.
She
So
old.
yeah.
She old.
But yeah, just point that little clue there out in case anyone missed it. But yeah, so she says, Canterlantis, yes. Said to be the sunken city, destroyed by an ancient creature, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. As much myth as reality, so far as I'm aware. Though, assuming the myths are true, and if that is your new destination, they must be. Then there is somewhat I can tell you based off of the old songs. They say that if you are to reach Canterlantis, you must head north. So far north that the seas become cold, the fish begin to fly, and the birds begin to swim.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, there is a reason that many do not believe Canterlantis ever existed. I, beyond that clue that you should head north, I don't know much more about the location. Do you have any further clues?
What do you know about maps?
I know much about maps and have many of them myself. They generally give you
What do
information
you know
about an
about
area.
maps that sing songs and annoy you?
An ensorcelled map. Now that is interesting. Um, Truly something of that sort, though, a mere annoyance, would have been created by a magician of some note, but significant sense of humor. That's not something you would generally see on a map.
Have
Much.
you ever heard
Oh,
of
I
a
thought you meant a
magician like
magician with a
that?
sense of humor.
Okay, both of you talked. I couldn't make out either. So, Anna?
You said that was a rare thing to find, and I said, oh, so you mean a magician with a sense of humor?
Certainly one frivolous enough to put effort into something like that, yes. Generally, if you're going to ensorcel a map, you're going to use invisible ink, or that can only be revealed upon the certain moon of some important date, or a ward that will cause the map to explode violently if opened by anybody but its original owner. Those sorts of things are much more common.
Maybe the
Do,
shanties are a clue.
That's possible.
do you know of any sorcerers who sound like they would do that sort of thing?
I have known a few in my time. Uh, though I don't understand the purpose of this line of questioning.
Well, if we find the
Everybody
person
looks
who
meaningfully at Caramel Kisses since it's her map.
if we find the person who made the map, they could tell us where the map leads.
That's true. Though, if you had that information, I don't know why you would be bothering with the map. You would just ask them directly. Maps are generally more useful in transmitting information when the owner and the people who already have that information aren't about. Wouldn't you say?
They're probably dead. Blah, blah.
A fair guess. Especially if the map is of some age. Are we talking
Well,
about a specific map here?
can you help us decipher this map? I pull out the map.
Actually, Cinnamon Star has the map. You gave it to her.
I pull out Cinnamon Star's map.
And open it. Do you open it?
Oh yes, I open it. I hand it to Myrtle.
Okay, I don't know why nothing is happening. Oh, nice. It's coming out the wrong speakers. What is going on?
We
Okay.
can still hear it.
Yeah, I think it's coming over my mic, but it's not coming out the right speakers, so that's annoying. But whatever. Good enough. Yep, here we go. Do a more interesting song. There we go.
I'm hearing it like 3 times. It's like 3 echoes.
Yeah, it's coming out through my computer's speakers, which is not what it's supposed to be doing.
Well, I hear it through Roll20
Hey,
too.
that's one of my favorites.
Okay, here, let's do this.
Hey, at least the map can sing.
Okay, now you guys can hear it and I can't. That's not very helpful. Here, I think I actually might know how to fix this. Okay, 1 second. There! Problem solved!
Hey, America exists in this game?
Maybe. Alright, so.
I'm just saying, at least this map isn't like tone deaf.
Anyway, so yeah, it immediately begins some sea shanties. So she looks at it, and already in the margins, there are a number of scribbles from Cinnamon Star going over the contents, and she says, actually, this appears to already be partially translated, though I think I might be able to assist to some extent. I do have a few books on old pirate ciphers, which is what this appears to be. And she looks at Cinnamon Star because it was pulled out of your pack and says, have you been translating this already?
Well, I've been trying to, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm really sick of sea shanties.
Yes, I can see that. It does seem to be, rather than making the sound through, just a single point, it seems that it is magically projecting the music directly into all of the objects around it, using them as speakers, including your own soul. So even stuffing cotton in your ears would be completely ineffectual against this. Like I said, an awful lot of effort for something merely amusing. So
I like this guy, whoever he was.
and she looks kind of at part that's been translated and says, I recognize this. The creator of this map is Goldie Roger. And this is God speaking. I did say that earlier, so you knew that already. As part of my recap. Anyway, it was Goldie Roger who created
Thank you,
this.
guys.
That actually makes perfect sense. He's well known as a bit of a prankster and a very unusual person, despite his eminence and far-reaching legend. But yes, I can help you to translate this in any way that you need. Is there anything else that I can help with, though? It sounds like this is what we need to get done next. One thing I would suggest is that while Cinnamon, Star, and I are translating this map, if it's true that it points to the location of Canterlantis, and the myths prove true as well, which I see no reason not to expect that to be the case, it seems you may be in for a bit more than you might have bargained for. If you remember, Canterlantis is sunken beneath the waves quite deeply, given that nobody has found it as of yet. So you are going to need to be prepared for such an adventure. You will need ways to breathe underwater, some way to withstand the pressure, weapons that are able to operate freely. I would suggest that the rest of you go and procure what provisions you will need for the trip, as well as any gear and provisions that are going to be required for your expedition. As she
You're gonna need
closes
a
the
lot of
map.
soda.
I guess it's a good thing we already have those cloaks of the manta ray.
Do you?
No, that was the other. That was the other game where we were pirates.
Uh-huh. But yeah, no, you guys are going to want to start figuring out what gear you want. So she says just 1 second, and she goes over out of the room into what appears to be some sort of an office area and pulls out a very official looking letterhead. And quickly scratches out several sentences and then hands it back to you guys. She says, "This is an official writ for any provisions that you may need. Show this to any merchants, and they will provide you what you need within reason, obviously, and I will pick up the tab later."
Oh, it's like an official memo.
Yes. Though, like I said, within reason. There will be, of course, some limit to what you can find on the island at all in short notice, but
5,000 upside down strawberry shortcakes! And I run out the door.
without the note, so good luck with that. Who does take the note? I would imagine probably Caramel Kisses is the most trustworthy of the ponies who is not Cinnamon
What?
Star.
But I'm the captain.
Absolutely not Minty Chips. She got that as a what's it called? A grace, just to make her happy. She has no real responsibility.
I am
will take good care
captain
of it.
because of my beautiful royal features.
Well, I will.
Yes, darling, of course.
She hands it over to Caramel Kisses and says, "Well, you guys are free to pass this off to whoever you want at this point. But yes, I would suggest you guys go out and gear yourselves up. So why don't you guys, who are not Cinnamon Star, if you want to start thinking about what kind of gear you want, you could, if you want to, Google that stuff. It's pretty easy to find lists of Pathfinder equipment. I do have a few suggestions, and then the more experienced players should also have some ideas. So just start giving that some thought. Meanwhile, Cinnamon Star, and I would imagine Cinnamon Bubbles joins you as well. He's also into this kind of thing and likes reading, so he's not going to pass up a chance to go to a library. So Cinnamon Star, Cinnamon Bubbles, and Myrtle.
Wait, what just happened? What am I doing? Charlie was screaming.
Oh, you are following Myrtle, and Cinnamon Bubbles is.
Oh yes, most definitely.
So Myrtle leads you off into another area of the mansion, and soon enough, through a large set of heavy wood double doors, which are pushed open by a team of 6 beetles as you approach. You enter an enormous library, a good 3 or 4 stories tall, with ladders on what are those called? The little tracks, that they put those on. What are those called? Ladders on tracks that slide along these unbelievably.
Library ladders.
I don't know. These unbelievably tall bookcases. There are several areas set up on the different floors, which could read can serve as reading areas with comfortable chairs and tables and some sort of magic crystal reading lamps. Here, as everywhere else, the beetles are going around, though they are there's less dirt and leaves and plant life here. The whole area is kept a little bit cooler and drier than everywhere else has been. But beetles are going around carrying scrolls and tomes about and rearranging things and cataloging and whatnot. So Myrtle says, "Here is the library." Cinnamon Bubbles' just jaw is just on the floor. Um, Very excited about this. And she says, "Well, let's see if we can't find the ciphers section, and maybe we can speed along discovering the contents of this map a little bit."
Oh yeah, this is going to be exciting.
Yes, very. So she goes up to a counter kind of toward the front. Sitting behind it is a kind of a reddish beetle wearing a pair of half-rim spectacles with chains around behind the back. And it is using its little bug legs to quote-unquote thumb through a large catalog. Uh, and so she clicks at it for a few seconds, and then it flips for a bit, and then points to a spot and clicks back at her and says, "Ah, it looks like we're going to be headed for 43B. Back this way." You presumably follow her once again. Cinnamon Bubbles does not. At this point, Cinnamon Bubbles is just wandering off, jaw agape, stars in his eyes, toward who knows what section of the library. And you guys head back and begin examining. So, does your character have linguistics or something else that would help with translating this map?
I have linguistics +4.
Nice. All right. Why don't you roll that for me?
According to Google, library ladders are either called rolling library ladders or library ladders, but I don't see any fancy schmancy name for it.
There we go. So they are rolling library ladders. Large ladders on little tracks that scroll along. Nice.
I remember how to do it the first time.
And you rolled really well. So you rolled an 18 with your +4. That gets you 22. So yeah, you actually look through. A few of the books seem familiar to you, and you're able to pass over them almost immediately, given that you already knew that they were not going to be helpful. But among some of the more esoteric tomes, you were able to pick out one that seems promising. It has some old cryptographic information, and you pick it out as being of note because it seems to be somewhat of a joke. The title of the book itself is actually an anagram, which you're able to piece together into a bit of a body lyric, or limerick, I should say. And yeah, that seems promising given what you've learned about Goldie Roger. And so, pulling that one out and piecing it together, you actually begin to make quick progress on the map. It is immediately obvious that it is indeed a map, which tells you the location of Canterlantis. In fact, it also includes some descriptions of Canterlantis, along with its positions and how to reach it. And it has some interesting. It's interesting how it's written because the whole thing is written not as though it was an ancient ruin or a sunken city, but instead as a thriving metropolis far out into the ocean, an island paradise of learning and progress. So it seems that this map was put together sometime before the catastrophe that led to its current position on the bottom of the ocean. You guys are quickly lost in the scholarly pursuits of translating this map and its secrets. The beetles continue to kind of tend to your needs, bringing you refreshments as necessary, and making sure that you are comfortable. So, the rest of you, Caramel Kisses, Minty Chips, Sugar Song, you guys are out on the town to procure some equipment. Where are you headed, and what are you looking for?
To the waffle ice cream house.
You mean the
I'm looking for
pancake?
strawberry shortcakes.
Do you mean the pancake ice cream house?
Yes.
Because they were ice cream stuffed pancakes.
Ooh, I guess I'd follow her then.
Alright, Minty Chips and Sugar Song are off gallivanting. Caramel Kisses, are you joining them, going to the pancake house?
I'm not gonna miss out.
Alright, you guys head there. And the owner is still there. He seems to be boarding up the windows and getting things settled for a storm when you arrive.
Is this where the pancakes are?
Close enough.
Yeah, it's somewhere around here.
Wait! Don't close!
We need ice cream and pancakes!
I'm not actually closing. I'm just getting prepared for the worst.
Okay.
That storm over there
good.
doesn't seem great, and they've got old Lumpy going at quite a pace, at least for him. As you've been walking along, you can feel the entire place bobbing up and down, somewhat significantly stronger than normal. In fact, keeping your balance has been a little bit difficult for all but Minty Chip, whose time at sea has long since given her the bow-legged sailor walk required to keep her balance easily, despite the undulations. But he says, if you'd help me for a minute finishing this up, I can head back in and whip you up a batch of my world-famous ice cream stuffed pancakes. Speaking of which, the name of the store on the sign above is I Scream, You Scream, We All Scream for Pancakes.
Pancakes.
So clever. I love it.
Pancakes. Pancakes.
So do you help him?
I'll help.
Alright, so you guys get things kind of boarded up and ready for some jostling and rough weather fairly quickly with the four of you all working together, and then he heads on inside and says, alright, the first batch is on me. Thanks for your help. So he heads back into the kitchen, and strange cartoon noises of gears turning and rubber chickens being squeaked and other things come out of the kitchen area. And then he returns with three towering plates of pancake ice cream things. Dripping with syrup and sprinkles and whipped cream.
Yeah. Yes! Bring it to us!
Alright. So for the shopping that you're going to do to get the gear that you want, do you want to do that here, or do you want to kind of put together what you think you want from before the next session and then get all settled off camera? Because I'm not sensing any particular desire to get that done.
Yeah. I think figure it out before next session and do that off camera.
Yeah, because it's just going to take kind of a while to look through and figure out what we really would need.
All right.
Yeah, especially for people like me who have no idea and are probably just going to be like, hey, what do I need?
And for myself, there's sort of some question of like what is reasonable, because like I said, we could just grab cloaks of the manta ray, but those were really expensive.
Okay, so how about this? I'll kind of toward the end of the session, I will put together a budget for you guys, just so that you kind of have an idea of how much is reasonable. And then working within that, you guys can kind of figure out what items you want, and then we'll need to get those all updated in your character sheets and whatnot before the next session. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
Great.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, then we will skip forward through that. You guys all presumably are going to want to get back together. Those of you who have been shopping now have your gear, which is being loaded onto the SSBFF. Cinnamon Star and Cinnamon Bubbles has fully translated the map. It does definitely send you off into a location to the north. Some ways to the north. You expect that the journey will take you probably somewhere in the week to 3 weeks range. To get all the way out there, even with the speed that the SSBFF is capable of. Off into what are, for the most part, uncharted waters. There, you're able to maybe find a few helpful maps in Myrtle's collection, which she's willing to allow you to borrow as you head out. And there are a few more also in the library aboard the SSBFF. But you're going to be going through some unfamiliar waters regardless.
I feel bad borrowing her maps because I feel like we're not gonna return them.
Anna feels bad. Minty Chips definitely doesn't.
What if as Cinnamon Star and Cinnamon Bubbles, I make copies of her maps?
All right, yeah, no, that's perfectly fair. In fact, she can probably assign a few of her beetles to begin making copies, and there's just like 5 of them in a line, and they're all holding these pens. But what happens is they start at one end, and then it makes like printer noises, you know, like as they go along, and then it comes out the other end, and it's a perfect photocopy.
Yes.
Yes, so you have copies of Myrtle's maps, because Cinnamon Star points out that it's quite likely that something could happen along the way, and she would feel terrible if Myrtle's maps were lost, stolen, or destroyed. All right.
Well, plus that, a lot of these maps don't have any other copies, and we'd lose the only one in the entire world. That would be.
No, you make an excellent point. I'm glad you brought it up. So you guys get you set up. So you guys, presumably, where are you gathering back up? On the boat? Back at Myrtle's place? Somewhere else?
At the
Pancake
Star
ice cream
Cinnamon
shop.
What was that, Rebecca?
I was gonna say at the Cinnamon shop, but honestly, probably the Cinnamons finish all of their work and then have to follow the trail of rumors to the ice cream shop, where I suspect our friends are having an eating contest.
All right. So you do that, finding them at the shop. What are
We
you
are
guys
having
doing?
a chocolate milk chugging contest.
At this point, you're gonna have to pay for whatever foodstuffs you're getting. Let's just point that out. Only the first round.
We'll put it on my tab.
Your tab has long since been proven untrustworthy and removed from their records. Snazzy Cogsworth joins you as well. And why don't everybody who's been going nuts at the pancake place mark down that you have spent 10 gold there?
Woot!
All right.
Wait, this costs money?
Yup. That's how goods and services work. Alright, Snazzy Cogsworth has
Aw.
also joined you.
Snazzy, my boy.
Spelled BOI.
Do you like ice cream?
Unfortunately, Kamal, while I can eat, I cannot actually taste. So, I'm unsure. The texture is, interesting.
I bet it's not good for the gears, though.
No, my creator did design me with the intention of my being able to ingest organic matter in order to create fuel. So, no, it's perfectly fine. Well, now that we're all together, shall we discuss our plans and perhaps get underway?
Yeah, what happened with the map?
We translated it. I was correct.
Excellent.
Not gonna say, I told you so or anything, but yeah, absolutely right. Found the answers. Made copies of more maps, so we're pretty.
Okay, everybody, take a map.
Cinnamon Star protectively hides her bag behind her back and backs up against the wall.
You don't want... Wait. Doesn't everyone get a copy of the map? Or no?
Oh, did you make multiple
I think
copies
I'll
of
just keep the
Tantalantis
map.
map?
We only have one copy of each map.
I feel like this is gonna cause issues down the line, but I'm sure it's fine.
It'll be fine. Kermo kisses the backpack that she wears, speaks up and says, "If you want, I can hold on to it. I've been known to be quite trustworthy with items. I think after all, I gave Camille the map in the first place. Or not."
So I look at Caramel and I'm like, do you want your map back?
You can have it if you so desire.
Alright then, I think I'll let the bag have it. It makes a good point. It has a lot of logic for such a small backpack.
Why, thank you. Hand it over. And so you put it over, and he just slurps it up like a spaghetti noodle. Nom 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 nom. Ah, I love the taste of maps in the morning.
It's not morning.
So where...
been scarred for life. What was that you said?
Where do the maps lead? How do we follow the maps?
Let's get on the boat and just start going north.
Did we lose Rebecca?
Yeah, she had to chase the child.
Bum, bum, bum. Alright, well, that is actually more or less what you need to do, so that is an option. And I would imagine.
Of course it is. Listen to your captain.
Hey, that island is on fire! Let's go there!
Basically.
Do it.
Alrighty. Yeah, you guys head to the boat. Bump. There you go. You guys should be on the boat now.
Whee!
I don't see. Oh, there we are.
You have to scroll to the right place, Wayne. Big babies make me scroll for you every single time.
I just saw a big white thing. I didn't know what to do with it.
Millennials.
All right. So you guys head back to the boats and prepare to get underway. The supplies have already been put on board. As you guys are kind of getting ready, you hear little tiny hooves scamper up the gangplank. In Minty Chips, you see Tommy Two Hooves. Or Timmy Two Hooves. I think it was Timmy. We'll go with
Timmy.
Timmy. Timmy Two Hooves comes scampering up the gangplank. He has a stick with a bundle of belongings tied up in a handkerchief on one end. He's wearing his unnecessary eye patch that he has a tendency to wear, and he comes up to Minty Chips and salutes and says, "I'm ready to board, Captain."
Well, we did need a cabin boy.
You mean you're really gonna let me come?
Well, I mean, I guess as the captain, I've got to ask you one responsible question, though.
Oh no.
Did you make sure you asked your adult supervisor before you left?
Define adult supervisor.
The adult that's in charge of your safety and feeding.
Oh, well, I'm asking them right now. You know that Timmy Two Hooves, while he is very attached to you, actually does have parents.
No, you gotta ask your actual parents.
But I don't think they'd let me. They're always telling me, Timmy, don't hang out with Minty Chips. She's a wild pony. She's crazy. She'll get you in trouble. But you always said that I do better than to listen to them.
Well,
say what now?
This is true, but you always have to remember, Bud, there's a chain of command, just like on a ship. And unfortunately, your parents are your captain. And if you left without asking them, that would be mutiny. And I just can't stand for mutiny around here.
You're right. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. And he runs off, and he comes back, and he has a note that says, Timmy Two Hooves can join the best person ever, but it's written in a child's handwriting.
Well, this looks legit. All right, Timmy, let's go.
Yay! Adventure time! And then a boy wearing a bunny hood looks around from behind a tree and says, "What?" And a dog kicks him and says, "Mathematical," and then we cut away. So Timmy Two Hooves. There we go. Boop. Oh yeah. So Myrtle and Master Meadows and many others are on the pier as you withdraw the gangplank and prepare to get underway. And most of them are shouting well wishes. A few of them seem to be giving you the stink eye. You're not sure why. Yeah, you guys. Minty begins yelling orders about the different various color-coded ropes and what to do with them. The rest of the crew swings into action. Timmy Two Hooves actually seems to largely know what he's doing on a boat and is quite a bit of help getting things underway. And then once you guys are clear of the pier, you... Oh, and this is actually a thing. I told you I was going to make you remember the mana, and I doubt you do, but your ship has a docking system where on the wheel there is an ovoid shape, and on either end of the oval are letters from a wheel, which has the numbers 1 through 6. So there's always 2 of them on either side of the indicator. These switch the different docks that are exposed on the sides of your ship, which if you look at the side drawing here, you can see that little circle. and then there's the letter 1, or the top of the letter 1. There's a similar aperture on the other side, and then there's a sphere behind that rotates. So that's how the docking system kind of works behind the scenes. And do you remember which 2 numbers you need to have selected in order to have your little powered wheels showing?
3 and 6.
Nope.
1 and 4 are your 2 wheels. Do you remember what other things are
I
in
was
those
very
docks?
close. Very close.
You're about as far off as you could be. But you at least did pick 2 possible options. Or no, 3 and 6? No, that's not even possible. Or is it?
Isn't it 1 through 6?
Yeah, it's 1 through 6, so it'd be... No, that's right. Yeah, you're right. So 3 and 6 are possible. But you picked the only 2 that none of you actually know what's in there right now. Santa, do you remember what the other 2 docks that you know what's in them?
Nope.
Okay, so 2 and 5 are a swan boat, which is another wheel, a boat with like a little offboard wheel kind of motor thingy that you can get around with, and a shark-shaped submarine is in 5.
Ooh.
And then Snazzy Cogsworth has yet to reveal what is in 3 and 6. Alright, so you guys switch the thing to 1 and 4, deploying the wheels and turning on the cola-powered motor. You steam off toward the north. So right now we're sitting at like an hour and 15 minutes. Do we want to do just a little bit of ocean adventure, or do we want to wrap up a bit early today?
Will Ocean Adventure take longer than like 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't do much of it, so we would do about 20 minutes of ocean adventure.
Then Ocean Adventure is my vote.
Alright.
Adventure is out there.
Okay, so you guys head off into the ocean. As you're headed toward the north, which is thankfully away from the giant whirlpool behind you, things begin to clear up and they get warmer. You are in a largely tropical area. The sun comes out and the waves are dancing about nicely. It's not long before your ship is actually trailed by a small pod of dolphins whose antics are very entertaining and adorable.
Cinnamon Star draws diagrams of how the dolphins are.
You cut off after like the last word. How the dolphins are
Swimming.
Cool.
He's being all sciencey about it.
Yeah. Cinnamon Bubbles has pretty much kept himself locked away in the library, continuing to absorb every bit of knowledge that he can. What are the rest of the crew up to?
I am at the helm, doing what captains do.
As a captain, you actually wouldn't be at the helm, mostly.
I am at the helm, pretending to boss myself around like a captain.
So you're doing the captain's job and the steersman's job at the same time.
Correct.
Three degrees to the west. Aye, sir. No, that's terrible.
Exactly.
All right. Snazzy Cogsworth is busying himself about the ship, keeping things running, monitoring the engine and keeping it fueled up. What does Minty Chips have Timmy
Swabbing the deck.
doing?
Who's swabbing the deck?
Timmy Two Hooves.
Ah,
He looks very put upon. And anytime that you're not looking, he immediately stops swabbing the decks and goes and plays with Mr. Grabby instead.
Hey, get back to work!
I was working. I was just stopping Mr. Grabby from throwing chocolate on the deck and making even more of a mess.
That's actually pretty smart, but get back to work!
Okay, Minty. What
Hey, at
about...
least she's not being any meaner to Timmy Two Hooves than she is being to herself.
It's true. Minty just has exacting standards.
I'm in the fighting top
A
using a
ship's
spyglass
gotta
backwards.
run like a ship's gotta run.
Sugar Song, you said you were up in the crow's nest using a spy's glass?
Backwards.
Nice, and you're like,
Everything
everything's so
was
far
very
away!
far away.
Alright, what about Caramel Kisses? What is she up to?
I want to turn in the crow's nest. When's it my turn?
When I go to sleep.
Well, who's gonna cook? Somebody's gotta make meals. And
Oh, yeah, that's
I feel
right.
like this is when someone gets shot with a sleep dart.
Right down to the kitchen.
I think Caramel Kisses just has to remind Sugar Song that there's a kitchen.
I've already made half a batch of cupcakes.
Well, you made a whole batch of cupcakes.
Only
You
half?
just eat. No, she's made a whole batch. She's eaten half.
Oh.
I
There's
only
only
made
half
half a
left.
batch. I promise I didn't eat any. After 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Which was 3 minutes ago. So Caramel Kisses, you're up in the crow's nest, kind of checking out the surrounding area with the telescope.
Yes, and I'm acting like a real adventurous pirate.
Nice.
I'm making up things that aren't there. Like
Did you,
dragons.
makes sense. Are you actually telling everybody that those things that aren't there are there?
No, it's just they just look up and see me acting very animated.
And I believe you are the one who ended up with the far glass, which is actually a magical telescope that allows you to see especially far out, and then also it has the ability to cast a spell where you can actually hear whatever you're looking at. So, like, say there was a ship a long ways off, you could actually point it at the ship and then hear what's going on aboard the ship.
Oh, fancy.
I think you're the one who ended up with the far glass anyway.
I did not have that written down, but that does not mean that it didn't happen.
Yeah. Somebody has it. I'm sure you could at least procure it, if nothing else. So yeah. Why doesn't somebody roll me 1d1?
Roll what?
1d100, a 100-sided die. Or just, forward slash R 1d100.
Considering that I'm in the kitchen, is it beneficial if I do so?
No, I just needed someone anyway.
So Anna got an 8 and I got a 33. We are not doing great.
Well, considering it's just a table, it actually doesn't matter. So, that's the wrong thing.
Everyone make fun of Wayne.
That's right, Wayne. Don't even know a forward
I
slash
only
or a
now
make
backward
fun
now
of
you're
slash.
you
getting the
because
gist
I
of
do
it.
that all the time.
Now
You
you're
claim-
getting the gist of it.
You claim
Everybody has.
you claim to be a web developer and you can't even tell the difference between a forward slash and a backward slash? Oh.
I just forget.
To be fair, I just
Not the
lucked out
difference,
and
but
hit the right
different.
one.
Alright. So as you're sailing along, you see off in the distance caramel kisses, you see a large ship that seems to be completely painted white, and large white sails.
It's a ghost ship!
I mean, it's daytime, but maybe.
Where is this ship? In which direction?
It's a bit off to your starboard, but generally in the direction you're going.
Guys, there's a ship over there.
It's a very large ship, but it doesn't.
What does it look like?
It's all white and white.
It's a ghost ship!
Should we go after it?
Wait. Does it look friendly?
I would say it looks friendly from up here.
Oh, good. Maybe it's friendly ghosts. We should go over and say hi.
Let's
See
see
if
if I
they
can-
need any help.
Let's see if I can hear anyone talking on deck. Can I hear anyone talking on deck?
All right. So you activate the spell on your far glass, and you look over there. You can see a very animated-looking figure in a long white captain's coat, standing at the helm. And as you cast the spell, you can hear suddenly it says, "And the north winds, I spit at thee, thy very image, thy very presence, for I shall find thee, and I shall destroy thee, sending thee back to the depths of hell where thou hast come from." He's not looking
I
in
think
your
it's
direction.
Tommy Dick.
So this guy seems a little crazy.
As you
Maybe he needs help.
As you continue to watch, you see the ocean near the ship begin to ripple and churn, and suddenly an enormous black whale bursts from the depths and flings itself at the ship, ramming into it head first. You can hear over the far glass the sounds of yells and screams and splintering wood. And the whale then backs off and makes a circle as if to come at it again. And you see people on the sides preparing harpoons and various guns at its approach.
Can you guys see this?
They can just barely start to make out kind of like something on the horizon.
There's a whale attacking the ship. Let's go help
Oh no, we need to go help them.
All he needs is love.
them. Wait, Sugar Song, you should whip up a big whale-sized batch of your cupcakes. Maybe we can solve this in a non-violent manner.
No, guys, not cupcakes.
Yeah.
We need to make a Snickers bar. Maybe he's just hangry.
Make a what?
He's not himself when he's hungry. He just needs a Snickers bar.
My Little
just start
Pirates,
making-
brought to you
I
by...
just start making. I just start making the world's largest Snickers bar.
All right, guys, quick. Well, she's making the Snickers bars. Let's get over there.
All right, you sail in that direction post haste. As you arrive, the battle is still raging. The whale is now pincushioned full of harpoons, but seems to be fighting unabated, while the captain is still yelling and gesticulating wildly as he orders about his crew. And you are now in this bit of a cacophony. The ship, though damaged and taking some amount of water, doesn't seem likely to be sinking just yet either.
Quick, get the Snickers bar. We need to feed it to the whale.
Okay.
I'm going as fast as I can.
Do you have?
Should I like roll for how quickly I do it or something?
I was gonna say, do you have profession cook or something on your sheet?
I'm pretty sure you didn't give her that, but then, like, you said that she could cook.
Yeah, because that came up before. I remember that.
Yeah, I just
We
don't
were
remember if
talking
I
about whether
added
or
it or
not I was a
not.
cook.
Because I got around to adding Minty Chip's profession sailor.
It is not on my printed one, which I've had from the beginning, and that's what I have in front of me.
Yeah. Well, you have a pretty good perform sing. Do you want to try to sing to the whale and get them to come eat your Snickers bar?
Yeah, sure. What if we just roll that as my cooking skill? Because I don't want to have to come up with what I sing.
Lame. But sure, why not? You
That
gotta
can't
you
be
Yeah,
can't
right.
put a
yeah,
space between the
yeah.
1 and the D. You just told it to roll 1.
1 second, I'll be right back.
So it rolled 1.
That's how you always die.
All right. For the 19, you have finished making the Snickers bar by the time you have reached the scene currently going on.
I was literally making it while running.
There
That takes skill, man.
you
Quick,
go.
feed the whale the Snickers bar!
I just, it's long enough, it's a big enough Snickers bar that I just reach out the side of the ship and shove it down the whale's throat.
Okay. So you throw the Snickers bar out, shoving it down the whale's throat as it is making another run at the vessel. A large chunk of it also breaks off, falling in the hands of the captain in the long white coat. He looks at it for a second, sniffs it, and then takes a cautious bite out of it. The whale chokes and coughs for a minute, but eventually swallows the bar. And the captain also finishing his chunk of the bar. And then suddenly their furrowed brows and strained expressions loosen. And the two of them look at each other, and the captain says, "Why are we even doing this?" And the whale comes up to the side and says, "I'm not sure. It's been so long. Why did we even start?" And the captain says, "Er, I think it was just because I wanted ye to notice me." And the whale looks up with large, teary eyes and says, "But I've always noticed you. I was just afraid to say anything." And the captain says, "Oh, Dick." And the whale looks up and says, "Ah, Abraham!" And the captain jumps overboard and landing in the whale's mouth. And Abraham looks up at the ship and says, "I can't thank ye strangers enough for coming by. If it wasn't for you, who knows what would have happened?" And then the whale says, "Yes, now we're off to our new lives." And closes its mouth and dives into the ocean. And the whole crew of the other ship is just standing by the railing with their jaws open and a dumbfounded look across their faces.
Yay! Ah, Minty Chips
Wild!
cheers.
Cheering!
We did it!
All right. Well, this is probably a good time to wrap up. That was pretty close to a little 20-minute sea adventure. So let's end up like we always do, and let's start with Minty Chips. What have you learned?
I have learned that I am not actually the captain, but I am the captain.
There you go. You are the titular captain.
I am a figurehead.
Yes, indeed. So Caramel Kisses, what have you learned?
I learned that our game is sponsored by Snickers.
Evidently. And Cinnamon Star, what have you learned? Is Rebecca still gone?
That
She's
beetles make really good copy machines.
back. Indeed.
And I really want one. Or 5.
Yeah, I mean, you're an alchemist. You could probably figure something else, figure something out, especially with a little help from Caramel Kisses. And Sugar Song, what have you learned?
I've relearned that I'm a decent cook and that I can solve all sorts of things with my food.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining me. I hope you had a good time, and I will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye!
Bye!